Chapter 7, Short-Term Rental Insurance Demystified. Welcome to Chapter 7 of the Guide to Short-Term Rental Management. In our previous chapter, we navigated the complex but essential legal landscape that governs our industry. Now we are going to zoom in on a specific area of risk management that is critical for both you as a property manager and for your property owner clients. Insurance. The world of insurance can seem daunting, but for short-term rentals, having the right coverage is non-negotiable. This chapter, Short-Term Rental Insurance Demystified, aims to simplify key concepts, outline necessary policies, and guide you in communicating effectively with owners about this vital aspect of protecting their investments and your business. Standard insurance policies often fall short when it comes to short-term rental activities, so specialized knowledge is key. The first step in demystifying short-term rental insurance is to understand the distinction between policies that might be considered required and those that are highly recommended. The complexity of short-term rental insurance stems from the unique blend of residential use and commercial hospitality activity. Standard homeowners or landlord policies are often inadequate because they typically contain exclusions for business activity, which short-term renting is almost always considered to be. When we talk about required policies, these requirements can come from several sources. Some forms of insurance may be legally mandated by your local or state jurisdiction. For example, if your property management business has employees, workers' compensation insurance is almost universally required by law. Depending on your business structure and operations, certain minimum levels of liability insurance might also be legally stipulated. Beyond legal mandates, requirements can be contractually mandated. Your property management agreement with an owner should clearly stipulate the owner's responsibility to carry specific types of short-term rental appropriate property and liability insurance on their rental. Similarly, if the owner has a mortgage on the property, their lender will undoubtedly require them to maintain adequate property insurance, and it is crucial that this policy acknowledges and covers short-term rental use. It is also worth noting that some booking platforms like Airbnb with its air cover for hosts offer certain protections. However, it is important to stress to owners that these platform protections are not a substitute for their own comprehensive insurance policy. They often have limitations, specific exclusions, and may not cover all types of incidents or losses. Then there are recommended policies, which, while perhaps not legally or contractually forced upon you or the owner in every instance, are strongly advised by industry experts to ensure comprehensive protection against the diverse risks inherent in short-term rental operations. For you, the property management business, highly recommended policies include general liability insurance to cover your basic business operations, and crucially, professional liability insurance, also known as errors and omissions insurance, to protect you against claims of financial loss due to your professional negligence or mistakes. Given the amount of data you handle, cyber liability insurance is also increasingly recommended. For the property owner, a highly recommended, indeed essential policy is a specialized short-term rental homeowners or landlord insurance policy. This type of policy is specifically designed to cover the unique risks of short-term rental activity, including property damage to the building and contents, liability arising from guest stays, like a guest injury, and often loss of rental income if the property becomes uninhabitable due to a covered peril. An umbrella liability policy is also often recommended for owners to provide an additional layer of protection above their primary liability limits. A crucial part of the insurance discussion for both yourself and in your advisory role to owners is conducting a gap analysis. This involves carefully reviewing any existing insurance policies to identify potential gaps between the current coverage and the actual risks faced. This is where consulting with an insurance broker who specializes in short-term rentals is invaluable, as they can help pinpoint these gaps and recommend appropriate solutions to ensure there are no costly surprises when a claim needs to be made. Understanding the different types of coverage available and needed is key. Generally, we can break this down into property coverage, liability coverage, and specific business coverage for your property management company. While the primary responsibility for ensuring the physical property and covering liability arising from it lies with the owner, as a property manager, you need a solid understanding of what this entails to properly advise them and to ensure your own business is protected. Let's start with property coverage. This is designed to protect the physical asset itself and the owner's belongings. Dwelling coverage is for the physical structure of the building, the foundation, walls, roof, and so on. Contents coverage is for the owner's personal property and furnishings within the short-term rental that are available for guest use, such as furniture, appliances, electronics, and linens. A critical element here is ensuring the owner's policy has specific short-term rental endorsements or is a dedicated short-term rental policy. As mentioned, many standard homeowner or landlord policies will exclude or severely limit coverage if the property is used for short-term rentals. The policy should acknowledge and cover this type of rental activity. Owners should also understand if their policy provides named perils coverage, which only covers losses from specific risks listed in the policy, or all risk or open perils coverage, which covers all losses except those specifically excluded, generally offering broader protection. Another component of property coverage for a short-term rental is loss of rental income or business interruption coverage. This can compensate the owner for lost rental income if the property becomes uninhabitable and cannot be rented out due to damage from a covered peril, such as a fire or significant water damage. Next is liability coverage, which is important for both the property owner and your property management business. The owner's liability coverage, which should be part of their specialized short-term rental insurance policy, is designed to protect them if a guest is injured on their property or if a guest's property is damaged due to a defect or condition of the rental premises. For example, a guest slips on a loose rug and causes injury. This coverage should respond to claims for guest injuries and damage to guest property. Your property management business also needs its own distinct layers of liability coverage. Your general liability insurance covers claims of bodily injury or property damage arising from your business operations that are not directly related to your professional services. For example, if a potential client slips and falls in your office, or if one of your staff members accidentally damages something at a client's property during a routine visit, not related to a professional error. However, one of the most critical policies for a property manager is professional liability insurance, or errors and omissions insurance. This policy is specifically designed to cover claims of financial loss suffered by a client, an owner, or sometimes even a guest due to professional negligence, errors, or omissions in the services you provide. Examples could include a significant booking error that results in lost revenue for an owner, mishandling of client funds, failure to adequately screen guests if that is part of your agreed service leading to damages, or providing incorrect advice about regulatory compliance that results in fines for the owner. Finally, there is broader business coverage specifically for your property management company. This encompasses your commercial general liability, which might be a more comprehensive version of a basic general liability policy, and your vital errors and omissions policy. Increasingly important is cyber liability insurance, which protects your business against financial losses and liabilities resulting from data breaches involving sensitive guest data, like credit card information or confidential owner data. If your property management business has employees, workers' compensation insurance is almost certainly required by law and covers medical expenses and lost wages for employees injured on the job. If you or your employees use vehicles for business purposes, such as property visits or transporting supplies, then commercial auto insurance is necessary, as personal auto policies often exclude business use. As property owners expand their short-term rental portfolios, or as your property management company grows to manage a larger number of units, the approach to insurance needs to scale accordingly to ensure continued comprehensive coverage and manageable administration. For property owners who own multiple short-term rental properties, managing insurance can become more complex. One option is to obtain individual, separate short-term rental insurance policies for each property. While this ensures each property is specifically underwritten, it can be administratively burdensome to manage multiple policies, renewal dates, and payments. A potentially more efficient and sometimes more cost-effective solution is to explore portfolio policies or master policies. Some insurance carriers who specialize in real estate or short-term rentals offer products designed to cover multiple rental properties under a single policy structure. This can streamline administration, potentially offer volume discounts, and help ensure consistency in coverage terms across all properties in the portfolio. Regardless of the specific policy structure, the key for owners with multiple units is maintaining consistency in the quality and adequacy of coverage for every property they own and rent out. For property management companies managing multiple units, the insurance considerations are about ensuring your own business policies can adequately cover the increased risk exposure that comes with a larger portfolio. As you manage more properties, your potential liability, both general and professional, inherently increases. Therefore, it is crucial to regularly review and potentially increase the coverage limits on your general liability and errors and omissions insurance policies to ensure they are sufficient for the scale of your operations. Many larger property management companies also opt for an umbrella liability policy for their business. This type of policy provides an extra layer of liability protection that sits on top of your existing general liability, errors and omissions, and sometimes commercial auto policies, kicking in if a claim exceeds the limits of those underlying policies. Beyond just increasing coverage limits, property managers managing multiple units should also focus on robust risk management strategies across their entire portfolio. Implementing consistent safety standards, thorough guest screening processes where applicable and agreed, and uniform operational procedures for all managed properties can help reduce the overall likelihood of incidents and claims. An important administrative step for property managers is requiring and verifying proof of adequate insurance from all property owners whose units you manage. This involves not just an initial check, but also obtaining updated certificates of insurance annually. You may also establish minimum insurance standards that owners must meet to be part of your rental program, ensuring a baseline level of protection across all properties. Despite having the right insurance policies in place, the true test comes when an incident occurs, and a claim needs to be filed. Knowing how to handle claims and loss reporting efficiently and effectively is crucial for a smooth resolution and for protecting the interests of both the property owner and your management business. There are several immediate steps to take after an incident occurs at a property. First and foremost, prioritize the safety of any guests, staff, or other individuals involved, as well as taking steps to secure the property and prevent further immediate harm. If necessary, contact emergency services, police, fire, or ambulance without delay. Then, it is important to document everything meticulously. Take extensive photos and videos of any damage or the scene of an incident. Create detailed written incident reports noting dates, times, a factual description of what happened, and include statements from any witnesses if possible. Once the immediate situation is stabilized, you need to notify all relevant parties promptly. This includes informing the property owner about the incident as soon as possible. You will also need to notify your insurance broker or agent if the incident could potentially lead to a claim under your property management business's policies. Similarly, you should advise the owner to notify their insurance broker or agent if the incident might trigger a claim under their property or liability insurance. If the incident involves a guest who booked through a major booking platform, it is also wise to report it through their official channels, as they may have specific processes, dispute resolution services, or limited protection programs that could be relevant. Understanding the general claims process is also helpful. This usually starts with a policy review, quickly refamiliarizing yourself or advising the owner to refamiliarize themselves with what their policy covers, the applicable deductibles, and any specific claim reporting deadlines or procedures. Full cooperation with any insurance adjusters assigned to the claim is essential. This involves providing all requested documentation and information truthfully and promptly. It is also often a policy condition to take reasonable steps to mitigate further loss or damage after an incident occurs, for example, by arranging temporary repairs to prevent a leak from worsening. Throughout the entire process, maintain record keeping by creating a complete file of all claim-related correspondence, reports, invoices, and documentation. As a property manager, your role in an owner's claim is typically supportive. You will likely need to assist the owner by providing relevant documentation from your records, such as guest agreements, your own incident reports, any photos you took, and potentially vendor invoices for initial emergency repairs you coordinated. However, the property owner is ultimately the claimant and the insured party on their property insurance policy. If the incident involves a potential claim against your property management business's own insurance policies, such as an errors and omissions claim from an owner or a general liability claim, you will need to follow the specific claim reporting procedures outlined by your insurer, working closely with your broker or agent. Clear and proactive communication with property owners about insurance expectations and responsibilities is a cornerstone of a professional property management relationship and a key risk management strategy for your business. This communication should start early and be reinforced throughout your partnership. The management agreement you have with the property owner is the primary document for setting these expectations. The agreement should clearly and unambiguously state the owner's fundamental responsibility to secure and maintain adequate short-term rental-specific property insurance and liability insurance for their rental property. If your company has minimum coverage requirements, such as a certain liability limit, these should also be specified in the agreement. Many property owners, especially those new to short-term rentals, may not fully understand that their standard homeowner's insurance policy is insufficient or may even be voided by short-term rental activity. Therefore, part of your role involves educating owners, not by giving specific insurance advice, as you are not a licensed insurance agent, but by providing them with general information about the types of coverage they should discuss with their own qualified insurance professional. You can explain the common gaps in standard policies and the importance of disclosing the short-term rental use to their insurer to obtain appropriate coverage. It is essential to request proof of insurance from every property owner. This typically involves requiring them to provide you with a certificate of insurance before you begin managing their property, and then annually upon policy renewal. This certificate should clearly show that they have short-term rental appropriate coverage in place. Where possible and customary in your area, you might also request that your property management company be named as an additional insured on the owner's liability policy. Being named as an additional insured can offer your property management company some protection under the owner's policy for claims arising from the owner's premises or operations, though the extent of this protection can vary. It is also helpful to briefly explain the insurance your property management business carries, such as your general liability and errors and omissions policies. Clarify that your business insurance covers your business operations and your professional services, and that it does not replace the owner's fundamental need for their own property-specific insurance to cover their building, contents, and their liability as property owners. Be sure to discuss and set clear expectations regarding deductibles. The owner's insurance policy will have deductibles. Your management agreement should clarify who is responsible for paying the owner's policy deductible in various scenarios, such as when damage is caused by a guest. Finally, always include a clear disclaimer in your communications and in your management agreement, stating that you and your company are not insurance providers or advisors. Emphasize that the information you provide is for general guidance only, and that property owners must consult with a qualified and licensed insurance professional to thoroughly assess their specific insurance needs and to obtain appropriate and adequate coverage for their short-term rental property. This disclaimer is crucial for managing your own liability and reinforcing the owner's ultimate responsibility for their insurance decisions. This brings us to the close of Chapter 7. We have navigated the often confusing waters of short-term rental insurance, covering required versus recommended policies, understanding different coverage types, options for multiple units, claims handling, and the communication necessary with property owners. In Chapter 8, we will shift gears to explore how technology can optimize your operations through automation systems and centralized management.